Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to announce that we've reached an incredible milestone of 2,000 subscribers. Thank you all for your amazing support, and for being a part of this spooky journey with me. As many of you know, storytelling is a huge part of my Hmong culture and tradition. I love sharing eerie folklores from Southeast Asia, and since I'm now located in the United States, I also delve into chilling tales related to fishing, hunting, funerals, and haunted houses right here in the US. Being an ICU nurse, I have many spine-tingling stories from the healthcare field to share as well. Our next goal is to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I believe we can do it with your continued support. If you enjoy my content, please like, comment, and share the videos with your friends and family. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of the scary stories I have in store for you. Thank you all once again for your support, and let's keep this channel growing. Stay tuned for more terrifying tales, and as always, stay spooky. It was always my father's dream to buy a house with lots of land where he could trap wild animals such as wild hogs. There was no better place that suited his dream more than the rural state of Oklahoma. My parents bought an old house in a secluded area in the woods. The inside of the house was actually very nice. The outside of the house had a lawn surrounding it. Our backyard had no fence, and beyond it was just a forest. When we moved into this house, our dog Sabu had just turned 4 years old. He was already a full-grown dog. Sabu was a mix between a German Shepherd and a Husky. One evening, my brother Kai and I were passing the soccer ball back and forth to each other in the backyard. Kai kicked the ball a little too hard, and it went beyond our grass line into the trees. Our dog Sabu started barking while I ran into the trees to retrieve the ball. Sabu didn't follow me. He just stayed in the grass of our backyard and kept barking while I looked around for the ball. As I located the ball and started walking towards it, I felt as if there was something in the forest beyond our backyard. I don't know how to explain it, but everything went silent, and I could no longer hear Sabu barking. I slowly walked to the ball, and as I bent down to pick it up, I heard my brother Kai say, "Hurry up! Mom said dinner is ready." I looked towards the trees, and I swear I felt as if something was hiding among those trees and peeking at me. I picked up the ball and ran back to the backyard. That night at the dinner table, my father told us about our land and property. He said it was actually more extensive than just our backyard. There were some old private property signs that the previous owner had put on some of the trees. My father said he would show us the signs the next day, and we could set up traps for hogs on our own property without any problems according to state law. The following day in the afternoon, my father wanted to show me and Kai where we could set up traps for hogs. I helped my father carry a small cage to use as a trap for wild hogs. We went all the way to the edge of our property. My father set up 2 traps. One was a cage trap, and the other was a leg-hold chain trap. After that, he showed me and Kai where the private property signs were. Once we were done, we returned home. That evening, our family had just finished dinner and were watching a movie in the living room. It was dark outside. Suddenly, there was a noise that sounded like a hog squealing. It was loud. We could hear it. Right away, my father said maybe a hog had triggered the leg-hold trap. At that time, Kai was taking a shower, so my father grabbed his rifle, and I went out with him to check. When we got outside, it was dark, so we both turned on our flashlights and followed the sounds of the hog squealing. It was coming from where my father had set up his traps earlier. The sounds of the hog squealing were getting louder and louder, and then it suddenly went silent. My father told me to hurry up as he got his rifle ready because he was concerned that the hog might have gotten away. However, once we got to the 2 traps, it was as if nothing had touched either of them. We were puzzled. As we were standing there looking at the two traps, we realized that the forest was so quiet. My father said maybe there were wild hogs in the area, but they hadn't gotten to our traps yet. He suggested that we go back and check the traps the next morning. As we were walking back to our house, my father and I heard bells. They sounded like church bells. That was strange because the area where we lived was very secluded. To be honest, we were growing marijuana. My father had a license to grow it, so we lived in seclusion, far away from any buildings or churches. When we got home, Kai asked if we had caught any wild hogs, and I told him no. "We'll go back and check in the morning," I said. The next morning, my father was up early to water his plants in the greenhouse before dawn. He heard the wild hogs squealing again from the forest. He stopped what he was doing and grabbed his rifle. During this time, nobody was up yet, so my father went alone without a flashlight. My father hurried to the traps, and once he got there, there was nothing. There was no more wild hogs squealing. It was so strange. On his way back, he saw a little flame up ahead. He was worried that someone might have started a fire, so he hurried there, and it was a glass candle. On the glass candle was a picture of Jesus. My father looked around and started calling to see if there was anyone on our property, but he didn't see or hear anybody. My father grabbed some dirt and put out the flame with it. After that, my father suspected that there was something in that area of the forest. Around 10 a.m., my father made a phone call to the previous owner of the house. According to the previous owner, beyond the trees of our property to the south side, there used to be a church, but it had burned down. Someone had set fire to the church while others were praying inside. However, the area where the church had burned down was not within our property. My father did not want to scare us, so he only told my mother. One night around 1 a.m., I woke up to the knocking on our front door. It was loud knocking, and I don't know if my parents heard it or not, but the knocking sounds were urgent, so I got up, thinking that maybe my father had gone back out to the greenhouse and locked himself outside or something. I walked to the front door as the knocking continued. I was going to ask who it was, but when I looked, I saw my father's shoes there at the door. Therefore, I didn't ask or open the door. I peeked through the peephole and didn't see anyone. I was a little scared, so I went back to the bedroom as the knocking had stopped. A few days later, my father and his co-worker made multiple trips to the store to buy wood to make a fence surrounding our house. Making a fence surrounding our house and the greenhouse all together was too extensive, so my father just wanted to make it around our house to keep us safe from the forest. That weekend, I was with my father and his co-worker putting up the new fences. My brother Kai was inside the house playing video games since he was not old enough to help. We worked all day and almost got the whole fence up. Before I knew it, the sun had already set. I thought my father and his co-worker had gone inside to eat or something because I was just outside putting up a few more pieces of wood for the fence. My mother was inside one of the greenhouses. As I put up the last piece of wood, I heard my father calling me from the forest. "Kevin, Kevin, come help me bring some hog meat home. Kevin." My father was calling me, and I could hear him from a distance. I stopped what I was doing and was about to go into the forest, but then my mother came out of the greenhouse and said, "Where are you going?" I told her that I was going to help my father bring home some hog meat. "No, your father is inside the house. Go inside," my mother insisted. I went inside the house and saw my father talking on the phone with my uncle from out of state. It sounded like he was trying to convince his brother to come to Oklahoma and live with us. I was so shocked. If my father is there talking on the phone, then who was just calling for me outside? My mother heard the calling earlier, so she later told my father about it. After that, my father didn't want us to go outside and beyond the backyard after sunset. The following day, We made a few trips to the store and were able to get all the wood required to complete our backyard fence. My father made another phone call to the previous owner and asked him about the house and the property. The previous owner's name is Al, by the way. Al told my father that he believed there was something in the area too. While he and his family were living there, they never went to places alone and avoided going into the forest without sunlight. Al said, "All you can do is mind your own business and try to live in peace with your surroundings. If you go beyond your property, sometimes you can hear someone praying when no one is there. So just mind your own business. Try to leave them alone, and they will leave you alone too." One night around 1 a.m., I woke up to the sound of our bedroom door opening. Kai and I shared the same room, so I looked and saw him go outside into the hallway. I was going to go back to sleep, but then I heard knocking. I got up quickly and went after Kai because I didn't want him to open the door. Then I heard the front door open. I ran to the living room and saw that Kai had gone outside. I could still hear the knocking. The knocking was coming from the front gate of our yard. I caught up to Kai and asked him what he was doing. He just kept walking towards the front gate where the knocking was coming from, so I knew he was sleepwalking. I tried to talk to him and wake him up, but he just kept walking. I grabbed his arm, turned him around, and walked him back to the house as the knocking on the gate continued. We got inside and I locked the door. I walked Kai back to his bed, and he just sat there for about a minute, then lay back down and went back to sleep. I don't know what would have happened if he had managed to go to the gate and open it. Who was outside knocking? Could it have been an animal or something else? I don't know. The good thing is that, not too long after that, my uncle and his family came to live with us. We still heard things after that, but since there were more of us, we weren't as scared anymore. Eventually, the marijuana, or what we called the heavenly flowers business, wasn't going too well, and 7 years later, we sold that property and moved out with my uncle and his family. We heard things while living there, but we never knew what was making all those noises. And who were the ones calling from the forest? I'll never know, and I don't plan to find out. That's all for this video. Thank you for making all the way through and supporting my stories. Have a wonderful day or night.